Two best friends shared one dream and made a promise to chase it together. But when a life-changing scholarship allowed only one winner, a desperate choice led to a hidden betrayal that changed both their lives forever. 15 years later, just when success seems to have buried the past, fate brings them face to face again, along with the painful truth, two teenagers, and the consequences of a secret that was never meant to return. Pull up a seat. Welcome to Afromoral Tales, where morals shake hands with mischief, lessons sneak in, and every tale bites gently. Before we begin, if you love stories that make you think and smile, tap that subscribe button and join our circle. It's free and it helps us keep these tales alive. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels tonight. Now, let the part 2 story begin. Maya and Zoe met during their first year at university. They became friends quickly. Both came from difficult homes. Both worked part-time jobs to survive. Both believed education was their only way forward. They shared a small apartment near campus. It was cheap and crowded, but it worked for them. 2 beds, 2 desks, books everywhere. Most nights they studied until very late, sometimes until sunrise. The scholarship exam was coming soon. Winning it meant everything. It was an international scholarship. The winner would study abroad. New country, new life, a real future. But there was only one place. One student would be chosen. Only one. One evening, Maya closed her laptop and looked across the room. Zoe was reading, her desk covered with notes. "Are you scared?" Maya asked. Zoe looked up. "Of the exam?" Maya nodded. Zoe leaned back in her chair and smiled. "Of course." They both laughed quietly. The truth was simple. They were not really afraid of the exam. They were afraid of staying stuck in the same life forever. Maya spoke again. "If one of us wins, everything changes." Zoe nodded slowly. "Yes." For a moment the room was quiet. Cars passed outside on the street. Inside, 2 young women stared at their books and thought about the future. Then Zoe stood up. She walked to the small kitchen and came back with 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Maya. "Okay," Zoe said. "We need rules." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Rules?" Zoe nodded. "Yes. Serious rules." She sat on the edge of the desk. "From today until the exam." She lifted one finger. "No parties." Another finger. "No dating." Another. "No drama." Maya laughed. "That sounds a little extreme." Zoe shrugged. "It's focus." Maya thought about it. Then she nodded. "Okay, I agree." Zoe extended her hand. "One more rule." Maya looked at her. "What rule?" Zoe spoke softly. "No matter what happens, we stay friends." Maya studied her face. "You think a scholarship can break a friendship?" Zoe answered honestly. "Competition breaks a lot of things." Maya slowly reached out. They shook hands. "No boys," Maya said. "No distractions," Zoe added. "Just the exam. And the future." They both smiled. In that moment the promise felt simple. 2 friends. 1 dream. They did not know how fragile promises can be. But that night they believed in each other. And they believed the future would belong to both of them. The promise lasted 3 weeks. 3 very focused weeks. Maya and Zoe followed the rules seriously. They studied every night. They avoided social media. They ignored invitations from classmates. Their apartment became a small world of books, notes, and coffee. Sometimes they tested each other. Sometimes they argued about answers. Sometimes they laughed at how serious they had become. But the pressure was real. The scholarship exam was only days away. One Friday evening, Maya was reading at her desk when Zoe dropped her pen. "I need a break," Zoe said. Maya did not look up. "We promised. No distractions." Zoe leaned back in her chair. "This is not a distraction. It's survival." Maya raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" Zoe opened her phone and turned it toward Maya. A message from a classmate filled the screen. "Exam celebration tonight. Small party. Everyone is coming." Maya shook her head immediately. "No." Zoe stood up and walked across the room. "It's just 2 hours." "No. We've been studying for weeks." "That's the point." Zoe crossed her arms. "You're acting like robots when scholarships." Maya sighed. "We made a promise." Zoe softened her voice. "I know. And we kept it." She sat on the edge of Maya's desk. "The exam is tomorrow morning." Maya finally looked up. "That's exactly why we should stay here." Zoe smiled slightly. "Or we go out for a short time, relax our brains, and come back fresh." Maya stared at her. You already decided, didn't you? Zoe shrugged. I just think we deserve one normal night. Maya thought about it. 3 weeks of pressure. 3 weeks of silence and study. Maybe Zoe was right. 2 hours, Maya said finally. Zoe's face lit up. 2 hours. And we leave early. Deal. An hour later they arrived at a small rooftop bar near campus. Music played softly. Students talked, laughed, and celebrated finishing the exam. Maya immediately felt uncomfortable. I don't like this place, she said quietly. Zoe laughed. You've been here for 30 seconds. I mean it. Relax. They walked toward the bar. Several classmates greeted them. Someone handed Zoe a drink. Maya checked the time on her phone. I'm leaving in 30 minutes. Zoe smiled. You worry too much. They stood together for a while. But soon Zoe began talking to other students. Maya felt out of place. After a few minutes, she stepped away from the crowd. She needed air. She walked toward the quiet side of the rooftop. That was when she noticed a young man standing near the railing. He looked relaxed, confident. He smiled when he saw her. First time here, he asked. Maya hesitated. Yes. He stepped closer. I'm Noah. Maya nodded politely. I'm Maya. Behind them the music continued. Across the rooftop, Zoe laughed with new friends. None of them knew that this short night would change all of their lives. And that one conversation at a party would echo for the next 15 years. The next morning came too quickly. Maya woke before the alarm. For a moment she did not remember where she was. Then the memory returned. The party. The exam. She sat up slowly. Across the room Zoe was already awake, tying her hair back. Morning, Zoe said. You didn't sleep either? Maya asked. Head. Barely. They both laughed nervously. The exam building was only 10 minutes away, but the walk felt longer than usual. Students filled the hallways. Some looked confident. Others looked terrified. Maya and Zoe sat next to each other in the exam room. No talking now. Only silence and concentration. 3 hours later it was over. Just like that. They walked outside together into the crowded campus courtyard. Zoe stretched her arms. I think my brain stopped working halfway through. Maya smiled weakly. You always say that. And I'm usually right. They sat on a bench. Neither of them wanted to talk about the answers. It was too late now. What happens next? Zoe asked. We wait, Maya said. How long? A few weeks. Zoe leaned her head back. A few weeks of stress. Great. Days turned into weeks. Life slowly returned to normal. Classes continued. Work shifts returned. But the exam never left their minds. Every day they checked their emails. Every day they refreshed the scholarship website. Nothing. Then one afternoon Maya received a message. Scholarship results released. Her heart started racing. She called Zoe immediately. Did you see it? Maya asked. I just got the email, Zoe said. Come home. Maya rushed back to their apartment. Zoe was already sitting at the table with her laptop open. Neither of them spoke. This was the moment they had waited for. Zoe took a deep breath. Ready? Maya nodded slowly. Zoe clicked the link. The list appeared on the screen. They both leaned closer. The scholarship committee had selected only one student. One name. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. Maya stared at the screen. Her name was there. Maya Carter. Selected. Accepted. Full international scholarship. Her chest tightened. I got it, she whispered. The room became very quiet. Zoe kept looking at the screen. Then she scrolled down. There was another section. Second place, Zoe Miller. Zoe let out a small breath. Second, she said quietly. Maya turned toward her. Zoe. Zoe forced a small smile. Well, she said, trying to sound light. That's not bad. But Maya could see the truth behind her eyes. Second place meant nothing. There was only one scholarship. Only one future. Zoe closed the laptop slowly. So, she said. I guess one of us is leaving. Maya felt something heavy settle inside her chest. They had made a promise. But promises feel different when dreams become real. And when only one person gets the chance to escape. The apartment felt different after that day. Nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Maya tried to act normal. Zoe tried too. They still shared meals. They still talked about classes. They still watched shows at night. But something quiet sat between them. The scholarship. Maya noticed that Zoe smiled less. She spent more time alone. Some nights Zoe went straight to bed without saying much. One evening Maya came home from class and saw Zoe sitting on the couch. She looked pale. "Are you okay?" Maya asked. Zoe nodded quickly. "Yeah, just tired. You look sick." "I'm fine." But the next morning Zoe ran out of the bathroom suddenly. Maya heard the sound of vomiting. She rushed to the door. "Zoe, I'm okay," Zoe said from inside. "You don't sound okay." The door opened a moment later. Zoe looked weak. "Maybe food poisoning," she said. Maya frowned. "You should see a doctor." Zoe hesitated. "It's probably nothing." But the sickness continued for days. Finally, Zoe agreed to visit a clinic. Maya waited for her at home that afternoon. She tried to read but could not focus. Something felt wrong. When Zoe returned, she did not speak at first. She dropped her bag near the door. Then she sat down slowly. Maya watched her carefully. "What did the doctor say?" Zoe stared at the floor. Her voice was very quiet. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the room. Maya blinked. "Pregnant?" Zoe nodded slowly. Maya struggled to process it. "How?" Zoe gave a small, sad laugh. "The party." Maya remembered the night instantly. "The music. The crowd." "You mean the guy you met there?" Zoe nodded again. "What was his name?" "Noah." Maya frowned. "You never told me that." Zoe looked embarrassed. "It happened fast." "Does he know?" Zoe shook her head. "No." "Why not?" "Because he disappeared." Maya stared at her. "What do you mean disappeared?" "I tried to find him," Zoe said quietly. "No number. No social media. Nothing." Silence filled the apartment again. Maya felt a tight knot forming in her stomach. "You're keeping the baby?" Maya asked. Zoe looked up slowly. "I don't know what I'm doing yet." Her voice trembled. Everything just happened so fast. Maya stood there, thinking. Her mind began moving quickly. Scholarship rules. International programs. Moral conduct clauses. Public records. If the scholarship board found out about Zoe's pregnancy, what would they do? Would they reconsider the selection? Would they question the results? Would they cancel everything? Maya felt fear creep into her chest. This scholarship was her way out. Her only chance. She looked at Zoe again. Zoe looked small on the couch. Scared. Alone. "I haven't told anyone," Zoe said softly. She looked at Maya with hopeful eyes. "You're the only one who knows." Maya forced a small smile. "That's okay," she said. "We'll figure it out." But later that night, when Zoe finally fell asleep, Maya sat alone at her desk. Her laptop screen glowed in the dark room. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard. She told herself she was only protecting her future. Just protecting the opportunity she worked for. Then slowly she began to type. The message took only a few minutes to write. But Maya stared at the screen for a long time before sending it. Her fingers rested on the keyboard. Her heart beat fast. She told herself she was being careful. The scholarship committee had strict rules. They expected students to represent the program well. Personal conduct mattered. Maya read the message again. It did not sound cruel. It sounded responsible. She wrote that another applicant might have important personal circumstances that could affect her ability to travel. She did not accuse. She did not insult. She simply reported information. Still, Maya knew exactly what she was doing. Her finger moved to the send button. For a moment she closed her eyes. Then she clicked. The email disappeared. The room became quiet again. Maya slowly closed the laptop. Across the apartment, Zoe slept peacefully. She had no idea what had just happened. Maya sat in the dark for a long time. She tried to convince herself it was the right decision. If the scholarship board discovered the pregnancy later, they might cancel the entire selection. They might take the opportunity away from both of them. This way the situation would be clear from the start. That was what Maya told herself. But another thought stayed in her mind. Only one of them could leave. Only one could escape. Days passed. Neither of them spoke about the pregnancy again. Zoe moved slowly around the apartment, still feeling sick most mornings. Maya continued preparing documents for her scholarship travel. One afternoon, Zoe returned from a phone call with the clinic. She looked exhausted. "The doctor confirmed everything," she said quietly. Maya nodded. Zoe sat down across from her. "I think I'm keeping the baby." Maya looked up. "Are you sure?" Zoe shrugged slightly. "I don't know if I'm sure. But it feels right." She gave a small smile. "Maybe life just surprised me." Maya forced herself to smile back. "You'll be a good mother." Zoe laughed softly. "That sounds terrifying." Then she looked at Maya again. You're leaving soon, right? Maya nodded. Next month. Zoe leaned back in her chair. Wow. Her voice carried a strange mix of pride and sadness. You're really going. Maya did not know what to say. Zoe spoke again. I'm happy for you. Really? Maya studied her face. You don't sound happy. Zoe shrugged. I guess I just imagined we would both leave. The room grew quiet. Maya remembered the promise they made weeks ago. No matter what happens, we stay friends. She looked at Zoe and felt a small wave of guilt. But it was too late now. The email had already been sent. The decision had already been made. Later that night, Maya finished packing her suitcase. She looked around the apartment one last time. Books. Notes. 2 desks side by side. A friendship built on shared dreams. Tomorrow she would leave for a new life. And Zoe would stay behind. Neither of them knew yet that the truth would not stay hidden forever. But some betrayals take years before they return. 15 years passed. Maya built the life she once dreamed about. The scholarship took her across the world. New country. New schools. New opportunities. She worked hard. Very hard. What began as a graduate program turned into a career in international consulting. She moved between cities, worked with large companies, and slowly built a reputation for herself. Success came step by step. By the time Maya turned 35, she was leading major projects and managing teams across different countries. Her life looked stable, organized, successful. But not everything in her life worked the way she planned. Maya sat in a quiet hospital office beside her husband, Noah. They had been married for 5 years. Noah reached for her hand as the doctor spoke. We have tried several treatments already, the doctor said gently. Sometimes these things take time. Maya kept her eyes on the floor. Time. They had already spent years trying. Tests. Appointments. More tests. Hope followed by disappointment. Noah squeezed her hand. We'll keep trying, he said calmly. The doctor nodded. There are still options. After the appointment, they walked silently through the hospital hallway. Noah finally spoke when they reached the parking lot. Dinner, he asked. Maya shook her head. I'm tired. Noah understood. He opened the car door for her. As they drove home, Maya stared out the window. Her life was full. Career. Travel. Marriage. But one thing was missing. A child. Later that evening, Maya sat alone in their living room. Her phone vibrated on the table. An unknown number. She almost ignored it. But something made her answer. Hello. A calm voice spoke on the other side. Is this Maya Carter? Yes. I'm calling from the property office in Brookside. Maya frowned slightly. Brookside. She had not heard that name in years. That's where your mother lived, the voice continued. Maya felt a small chill in her chest. What about her? There was a short pause. I'm very sorry to inform you, the voice said gently. Your mother passed away yesterday. The words landed heavily. Maya closed her eyes. She had not visited home in many years. Work had always been busy. Travel had always come first. Now there was no time left. When is the funeral? Maya asked quietly. The burial already happened this morning, the voice replied. Your mother requested a quick service. Maya sat very still. Brookside. The city she left behind. The city she never returned to. Now she had a reason to go back. She did not know it yet, but the past she thought she escaped was still waiting there. And some unfinished stories never truly disappear. 2 days later, Maya was on a plane. The flight felt longer than usual. She looked out the window but saw nothing. Her mind kept returning to the same thought. Years. That was how long she had stayed away from Brookside. She left quickly back then. Finished school. Started work. Moved forward. She never looked back. No visits. No calls to old friends. No reason to return. Until now. When the plane landed, the city looked almost the same. Familiar streets. Familiar buildings. But everything also felt distant. Like a place from another life. Maya checked into a small hotel near her mother's old neighborhood. She planned to stay only one night. Her goal was simple. Visit the house. Handle the paperwork. Leave. The next morning she walked through the quiet street where she once lived. Her mother's apartment building stood at the corner. The same gray walls. The same narrow stairway. The door opened with the old key she still carried. Inside, the apartment felt frozen in time. Simple furniture. Old photographs. Books that had not moved in years. Maya walked slowly through each room. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. Advice. Arguments. Silence. She opened a small closet and found a box filled with old notebooks. School notes. Exam papers. Memories from university. She flipped through them absent-mindedly. Then she froze. One page carried a familiar name written at the top. Zoe. Maya closed the notebook quickly. Her chest tightened. She had not said that name out loud in years. The last memory of Zoe was the apartment they shared. The scholarship. The email. The secret. Maya pushed the memory away. That chapter of her life was over. She packed the notebooks back into the box. The sooner she finished here, the sooner she could leave. Later that afternoon, she stepped outside to lock the apartment door. As she turned around, she saw a group of children playing in the small courtyard nearby. Two teenagers stood near the gate talking. A boy and a girl. They looked about 15. They laughed easily, pushing each other playfully. For a moment, Maya watched them. Something about them felt strangely familiar. But she shook the thought away. Teenagers everywhere looked the same. Full of energy. Full of possibility. She started walking toward the street. That was when she heard a voice behind her. A woman calling one of the teenagers. Alex. Sophie. Time to come inside. Maya turned slightly. The voice was familiar. Painfully familiar. She slowly looked toward the building entrance. A woman stepped outside. Older. Tired. But unmistakable. Zoe. 15 years had passed. But the past had finally found her again. For a moment, Maya did not move. She stood still on the sidewalk, staring across the courtyard. Zoe had not seen her yet. She was focused on the teenagers. Alex, Sophie, Zoe called again. Inside. Now. The two teenagers groaned. Mom, 5 more minutes, the boy said. No, Zoe replied. Homework first. They laughed and walked toward her. As they reached the entrance, the girl noticed Maya standing nearby. She whispered something to her brother. Zoe followed their gaze. Her eyes met Maya's. Time seemed to stop. Neither of them spoke. 15 years disappeared in one silent moment. Zoe looked shocked. Maya felt her chest tighten. For a second it seemed like Zoe might turn away. But she didn't. She stepped slowly toward the gate. Maya. Her voice was careful. Uncertain. Maya nodded slightly. Hi, Zoe. The teenagers looked between them, confused. Zoe opened the gate and stepped closer. You're here. Yes. Zoe glanced briefly toward the apartment building. Your mother. Maya nodded again. She passed away. Zoe lowered her eyes. I heard. Another quiet moment passed. The two teenagers stepped closer. Mom, the boy said. Who is this? Zoe looked at them. Then back at Maya. This is an old friend. The girl smiled politely. I'm Sophie. And I'm Alex, the boy added. Maya gave a small smile. Nice to meet you. She studied their faces without meaning to. Something about them felt strangely familiar. Their eyes. Their expressions. She pushed the thought away. Teenagers often resemble many people. Zoe crossed her arms lightly. So, she said carefully. You came back after all these years. It's only for a short time, Maya replied. Zoe nodded slowly. Of course. The conversation felt stiff. Awkward. Like two people speaking across a long distance. Finally, Zoe spoke again. You look successful. Maya shrugged slightly. Life happened. Zoe gave a small laugh. Yes. Her voice carried a different meaning. Life happened. Maya noticed it then. The tiredness in Zoe's face. The strength behind it. The kind of strength people build after surviving difficult years. Zoe looked toward the teenagers again. You two go upstairs, she said gently. We'll be right there. They nodded and walked into the building. Now the courtyard was quiet. Just the two of them. Maya felt the weight of everything they never said. I didn't expect to see you again, Zoe admitted. Neither did I, Maya replied. Zoe looked directly at her. So why now? Maya hesitated. Then she answered honestly. My mother. Zoe studied her face. Then she nodded slowly. Well, Zoe said. Brookside has a way of bringing people back. Her tone was calm. But beneath it Maya felt something deeper. Something unfinished. Because some stories don't end when people walk away. Sometimes they simply wait for the moment when everyone is forced to face them again. The courtyard slowly emptied as evening approached. Cars passed on the street outside. Lights began to turn on in nearby apartments. Maya and Zoe remained standing near the gate. Neither seemed ready to leave. Zoe finally spoke. Do you want to walk? Maya nodded. They stepped out onto the sidewalk and began walking slowly down the street. For a few minutes they said nothing. The silence felt heavy, filled with years of things left unsaid. Finally Zoe broke it. You disappeared. Maya looked ahead. Yes. No calls. No messages. Nothing. Maya exhaled quietly. I thought it was easier. For who? Zoe asked. The question landed between them. Maya did not answer immediately. Zoe continued walking, her voice calm but steady. You left the apartment. The city. Everything. Maya swallowed. I had the scholarship. I know. Zoe stopped walking. Maya stopped too. Zoe looked directly at her. You never asked what happened to me. Maya felt a small wave of guilt. I assumed you figured things out. Zoe gave a quiet laugh. Figured things out. She shook her head. You remember the clinic visit? Maya nodded slowly. The pregnancy, Zoe continued. My father found out. Her voice remained controlled, but Maya could hear the pain beneath it. He told me to leave the house. Maya's chest tightened. I didn't know. Zoe looked at her carefully. You didn't ask. The words were not loud, but they were sharp. Maya struggled to respond. What about the twins? She asked softly. Zoe's expression softened slightly. They saved me. She smiled faintly. Alex and Sophie. Maya nodded. They seem like good kids. They are. Zoe took a breath. But raising them alone wasn't easy. Maya could imagine. Long nights. No support. No partner. Just responsibility. Zoe continued speaking. People talked. You know how people are. Maya said nothing. Zoe looked at her again. You want to know the strange part? What? For a long time, I believed you would come back. Maya blinked. Why? Zoe shrugged. Because we were friends. The word friend hung heavily in the air. Maya looked down at the pavement. There was something she had never said. Something she had buried for 15 years. Her voice came out quieter than she expected. Zoe, there's something you should know. Zoe watched her carefully. Maya took a breath. That scholarship. Zoe's expression hardened slightly. Yes. I didn't get it fairly. Zoe frowned. What do you mean? Maya forced the words out. I told the committee about your pregnancy. Silence. Complete silence. Zoe stared at her. At first there was only confusion. Then understanding slowly appeared. You told them? Maya nodded. I sent an email. The street felt colder suddenly. Zoe's voice was barely above a whisper. So that's how they knew. Maya looked up. You knew? Zoe laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. Of course I knew. She took a slow breath. I just never knew it was you. The words stayed between them long after Maya spoke. Zoe did not move. She simply stared at Maya as if trying to understand the person standing in front of her. You told them. Maya nodded. I was scared, she said. Zoe let out a slow breath. Scared of what? Losing the scholarship. Zoe looked away for a moment. Then she laughed softly. Not with humor. With disbelief. So you protected your future. Maya did not deny it. Yes. Zoe shook her head slowly. For 15 years I wondered how the board knew. She crossed her arms. I thought maybe someone at the clinic talked. Maya felt the weight of her own confession pressing down on her chest. I should have told you, she said. Yes, Zoe replied. You should have. Another quiet moment passed between them. The past could not be undone. But it had finally been spoken. Zoe began walking again. Maya followed beside her. You know the strange thing? Zoe said after a few seconds. What? I hated you for years. Maya felt the honesty of the statement. I understand. But after a while, Zoe continued, life became too busy for hate. She looked up the street where her building stood. 2 babies. No money. No sleep. She gave a small shrug. Anger didn't have much space. Maya nodded slowly. Zoe turned toward her again. So why tell me now? Maya answered without hesitation. Because seeing you again made it impossible to pretend. Zoe studied her face. 15 years too late. I know. They reached the gate of Zoe's building again. Lights glowed from the windows upstairs. The twins were probably waiting. Zoe rested her hand on the gate. You built the life you wanted, she said. Yes. And now you're back. Only for a short time. Zoe nodded thoughtfully. Then something unexpected happened. She opened the gate. You should come up. Maya blinked. You're serious? Yes. After everything? Zoe gave a tired smile. We already survived the worst part. She gestured toward the building. Besides, the twins are curious about you. Maya hesitated. She did not expect kindness. Not after what she had just confessed. Zoe noticed the hesitation. I'm not saying everything is fine, she added. It's not. I know. But maybe, Zoe said slowly, we can try to understand what happened. Maya looked at the building. At the life Zoe had built. Then she nodded. Okay. Zoe opened the door, and they walked inside together. Upstairs, Alex and Sophie waited in the living room. They looked up when the door opened. Mom, Alex said. Zoe smiled faintly. Kids, she said. Looks like we have a guest. Maya stepped forward. And for the first time in 15 years, she entered Zoe's life again. Not as a memory, but as someone who might still have a chance to make things right. If this story made you think, smile, or remember something important, then you belong in this circle. Subscribe to Afromoral Tales and help us keep these stories alive. It's free, but it means everything. And before you go, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Let's see how far this circle reaches. Until the next tale, stay curious.